Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today in this very valuable webinar, I hope, in helping you to understand how to cleanse and detoxify your body. We had a very good turnout for this webinar, which shows that people have a good interest in this subject. And that's because it's one of our major causes of many of our health conditions which we have today. We could divide natural treatments into two categories. One, detoxification, where we're actually cleansing the body, ridding the body of toxins, which we'll define as any type of pathogen or that is not part of the body and is not one of the eliminating, we call malas, and eliminating substances. So our sweat, our urine, and our feces, they're on the way out, and so they wouldn't count as toxin. But of course, if they accumulated and weren't able to eliminate, they could create toxins. And of course, we have toxins from environmental, outside of our body, environmental factors from the smoke, the air, the water, the food that we drink, all the chemicals, pesticides that we're absorbing into our body every day, and the majority of which we're probably eliminating. But that which we're not able to eliminate, like heavy metals, would become a toxin. But also we have a lot of self-generated toxins as well. This is the true definition of ama. So ama is an Ayurvedic term for this type of toxin. So it's more than just a foreign substance like heavy metals that we have to be concerned about. I mean, even we could say that cholesterol in the body, high cholesterol would become a toxin because it's not the necessary or correct amount of lipids in our blood. So it becomes a toxin. And even when you eat food, if you don't digest it completely, then you are creating toxins. If you don't eliminate from your colon rapidly enough, then you can create an autotoxicity. If you have any type of blockage in your system, including maybe kidney stones, and you're not eliminating, and there's an infection takes place in your bladder or kidney area or your urinary tract, then this infection would become a toxin. And the parasites or any pathogen in your body would also become a toxin. Even if you had just sweat and you were sweating and sweating, and this sweat was blocked. Maybe your skin is very dry and you're not sweating, then you could have skin problems. So these toxins that are trying to leave your body are unable to leave because of you're blocked and too dry, then it becomes toxic and you could have skin problems. So we first have to understand that toxicity is very easy to have in the body. And in fact, the body is spending time every day eliminating toxins. For every breath, we're inhaling oxygen and then exhaling the toxins of carbon monoxide. So the body is eliminating toxins 24/7, just like every cell in our body is being nourished and fed and also eliminating toxins at the same time. So it's first important to understand that toxins are more than just something that's foreign to the body, but it could also be something that we created within our body. And this is obviously the most common type. But since the time of the Industrial Revolution, of course, the toxicity level has increased, a multiple fold. So the human body basically has not really been designed to deal with the amount of toxins that we have in our modern society, the amount of pesticides, chemicals that we use in our air, in our food, in our water, in our soil. And the body struggles to eliminate these toxins. And then they result, of course, in a wide range of health problems, even autoimmune conditions. It's the body attacking these toxins that have accumulated or lodged themselves somewhere in the body. Even cancer cells, or even if it's not malignant, just a tumor, that becomes a toxic part of the body that the body has formed to isolate and protect the body from excessive toxins. So tumors, cysts, fibroids, these are little accumulations of toxins. And of course, the toxicity is fatigue. So we're going to talk about more types of symptoms and more causes of toxicity, types of toxicity, places in the body that we are toxic, and of course, most important, how to rid ourselves of these toxins. So we have quite a lot to cover here. So I'm going to keep the pace going and help you to understand, first of all, yourself, whether you need to, quote, detoxify or rid yourself of toxins. And then, of course, more importantly, is to identify where these toxins are in your body so you can focus on eliminating the ones that accumulated in your part of your body. Maybe the kidneys, maybe the liver, maybe the skin, maybe the blood, maybe your fat tissue. So there's many places these toxins can accumulate. So as I said in the beginning, first we have to determine, do we need to detoxify or not? Because as I mentioned, there's two forms of treatment: detoxification, and then the second one, nourishing and rejuvenating the body or tissue or a system or an organ. So you have to make this very important assessment of yourself or your patient if you're treating other people, and that is, should this person or yourself detoxify some organ or system in the body, or does this person need nourishment and being rebuilt and strengthened? So this is very important because they're the opposite in treatment. So if you are in a category of being very depleted, very underweight, malnourished, haven't been eating well, skipping meals, maybe doing a lot of fasting or doing a lot of, detoxing already, and now you're feeling weak, hungry, then your body is not in the healthy state to detoxify at this time. If you're a young child and you're growing, you don't want to detoxify. If you're an elderly person and you're weak and frail, you don't want to detoxify. If you're underweight, you're better to put on a little weight first before you detoxify. Now, you can detoxify a person and nourish them simultaneously, but this takes a little finesse and not going to be really covered here. So it's more important just to determine whether even detoxification of yourself or your patient is appropriate at this time. Because if you start detoxifying somebody who's weak and depleted and underweight and malnourished, then they could easily become worse in their overall condition, and your treatment would be counterproductive. So you don't want to be hasty in jumping into detoxification unless it's necessary, because you're always cleaning, depleting, and flushing out of the body when you're detoxifying. So you're going to be, doesn't necessarily mean it's a nutritional plan. Fasting, juicing, or these types of can be forms of detoxification, but they're not nourishing the body. So if you are depleted or particularly underweight and already frail, then you would want to put off this detoxification until you've nourished and strengthened yourself, improved your digestion first. And of course, if you have more skill, you can do both simultaneously: nourish and build the body, and then do some gentle detoxification simultaneously. So that's the first thing you want to do, is determine whether you should even be detoxing at all. And the best time to detox is actually in the spring, not necessarily now in the fall. During the summer is the hot months where our bodies are warmer and hotter, and we don't eat as much. Our appetite tends to be strong, but we don't need as much food. It's easier for the body to function in warm weather, and you don't need as much fat and extra tissue on the body. So it's easy time to detoxify, cleanse the body, and lose weight. But as the fall comes and the winter comes and the warmer months come, we find we need more food, we need heavier foods, we need oil, we need to kind of rejuvenate ourselves. So timing is also important. If it's cold, it's in your environment, then it's more challenging to detoxify. If it's warm and hot, you're in the summer, this is a better time to detoxify. And of course, if you're heavy and overweight and congested, then this is clear signs of needing to detoxify. If you're underweight and frail, then these are signs that you want to nourish the body first. Okay, so hope you're clear on whether it's even suitable for you to be detoxing yourself. And then next, let's talk about the signs of toxicity. What are the main signs of toxicity? Probably one of the most easy one to think about is stinky. That's right, stinky. If your stool stinks and somebody, goes in the bathroom after you and says, "Oh my God, oh, what's going on? Something died in here," then it's time to clean your colon, basically. And, if you look at your underwear and it's all stained and it's, maybe your urine is stinking, time to clean out the bladder and the kidney area. If your underarms are stinking and people are running from you, time to clean out the lymph and the skin and get sweating and clean out. If your breath is bad, stinky breath, then it's time to improve your digestion and clean out. So this is a natural phenomena of the human body that when you're clean, you smell nice. And when you're toxic, you stink. So I'm sure that would hamper your mating capacity as a human being. And that's because the more toxic you are, the less probability you have of having children and being fertile. And so maybe the smelly smell keeps away potential mates. I don't know. But this is clear signs of toxicity, is smelly, stinky aspects of your body, including your sweat in your mouth. And of course, then we could break it down and we could look at the stool. The stool is a very good indicator of the health of and the digestion and the toxicity level of a person. For that matter, you could apply this to your household dog and your cat as well. You should be looking at their stool if you're serious about caring for them and monitoring their health. And of course, if you have young children, you should also be observing their stool because of the amount of information that you get and how quickly people's digestion can change, health situation can change and deteriorate quickly. So you're keeping an eye on your bowel movements can be very helpful. So what do we look for? We look for floating stools, floating on the top. If they're sinking, bloop, hard as a rock, going to the bottom, not good digestion. And, this is, and if it's smelly and sticky, also bad digestion. If it's black, this is also signs of, could be blood deep inside of the colon, of course, but also it's a sign of toxicity. So dark, black stools sinking to the bottom that are stinky. And this is signs of toxicity in the colon and the large intestines. And a burping, bad breath, bad body odor, a heavy film on your tongue. Just stick your tongue out. Take a look at your tongue. If it's got a big heavy film on it, then you know that you have excess mucus and congestion building up in you. So even mucus and congestion and phlegm, that's all considered toxic. If your nose and your respiratory system is so clogged up that you can't breathe through one nose and it's all clogged and you're having trouble breathing and at night you're snoring, well, you have toxins in your respiratory system. And so toxins can be anywhere in the body. But what are these toxins doing? As Amma is known to do, it's congesting. Most toxins are heavy, it's dead, and thick, sticky, and congestive. So generally when you have toxins, things are getting blocked up. Your respiratory gets blocked up and you can't breathe well and you have breathing problems. You start smoke for a long time, you have problems with your bronchi, your alveoli, and they become congested, even inflamed, and you have breathing problems. So that congestion, that toxins, whether it's the carbon monoxide or cigarette smoke or tobacco smoke or secondhand smoke or burning forest smoke that's lodged in you that becomes toxic for your lung. And you need to detox your lungs and get this out. And then it's going to come out, the mucus, the phlegm, the black all going to come back out when you cleanse the lungs. So your circulatory system can be congested with too much fat. The arteries can be blocked by this toxin. It can create stroke and heart attack, and it can be very serious. And the lymphatic system, through lack of exercise and movement, can become congested, and you start to have swelling, edema, water retention, and this becomes toxic as well. So one good sign of toxicity is that it's blocking things. Things are becoming congested, and generally you're gaining weight and you're becoming more fatigued. It's the main number one sign of toxicity is chronic fatigue. Now, what do we mostly do when we have chronic fatigue is we take coffee or stimulants, or maybe we're taking Red Bull. Maybe some people are taking some recreational drugs or something else. But what we need to do is we need to clean these toxins out of the system by first identifying where they are in your body, because you just really can't detox everything at one time. You're better to focus on detoxing that organ or system in your body that needs the cleansing. And then your energy will be restored once you cleanse out these aspects or systems, we should say, in your body, because the systems start to become congested and blocked. Like even the reproductive system can become blocked, and a menstrual cycle may not come for women, and the colon can become congested, and then there's lack of bowel movements. The kidneys can become congested and blocked, and you can have kidney stones, or you can be urinating at night instead of the day. And so these are all signs of toxicity. So first you want to identify where they are in your body. Respiratory blockage, lymphatic blockage, circulatory blockage. If you have circulatory blockage, you're going to find the hands and feet are cold in particular, in this poor circulation. And if urinary tract is toxic, you could have inflammation and burning and stinging and low level bladder infection, which makes you run to the toilet all the time. That's a type of toxicity. You could have kidney stones building. There's different types of kidney stones. Often these are related to calcification, often as a result of taking vitamin supplements, calcium citrate, calcium magnesium, and magnesium citrate. These synthetic vitamins often create a blockage in the kidneys. And so any of these places you could have blockage. So first, try to identify where you have the blockage. And then, of course, the liver and the gallbladder. We shouldn't forget this main detoxification organ. And when the liver is blocked and congested, it becomes fatty. It can become fatty. It can become dried and depleted. Usually the person will be the same as the organs. So if you're an overweight, heavy person with oily skin and high cholesterol, more than likely you're going to have a more fatty, enlarged liver. And then if you are a person with dry skin and underweight, then you could be having problems with more of a depleted and dry liver that's not functioning. There's a type of cirrhosis of the liver, where the liver is actually dying off because you are so depleted. And that's just what happens sometimes to some people who over detoxify, skipping meals, detoxing for long periods of time, juicing for long periods of time, avoiding essential macronutrients like fat, reducing down the fats, like just not putting oil in the car for a while. Eventually the car will start slowing down, overheat, and you burn up, and you're going to be on the side of the road just by not putting enough oil in the car. And same with the body. Many people are doing low-fat diets for extended periods of time, and this makes cracking joints, inflammation between the joints, poor cognitive function, and such. Lack of water, lack of sipping water, drinking water throughout the day, maybe having too much dry foods, crackers, cookies, nuts between the meals, and then you're drying up the body instead of nourishing the body. You can always tell if the body has enough water by just looking at the back of your hand and pulling it up, and it should just spring right back down like that. And then there's enough water in your tissue. Doesn't matter whether you're drinking it or not. The matter is if it's in your tissue or not. because you could be drinking it and just urinating it straight out. So identify where the toxins are, and it's very, very important. There's no such thing as a complete detoxification. And you don't really want to just detox everything at the same time. You want to just step at a time. Detox the colon, get the colon going first because it's the main eliminating channel. Then support the liver, get the liver and the gallbladder going. I mean, the gallbladder can be congested very easily. It's one of the most common surgeries in the United States is a gallbladder removal. And that's because of the congestion and blockage in the bile that then blocks the gallbladder. And then you have trouble digesting fats and breaking them down into fatty acids. And then, of course, this becomes toxic in the body because you're not able to digest the fats. And this can push up triglycerides and other harmful fats. Can then irritate the intestinal lining, and you can have fatty diarrhea as such. And of course, acidity, GERD, difficulty digesting fats in general. So gallbladder is a clear organ or supportive organ that often needs to be cleansed out, and very easy to do with herbs. It's not difficult. So you don't really want to clean the colon, clean the gallbladder, clean the liver, clean the lungs, clean the lymph all at the same time. Just one organ at a time, making sure that each one is finished before you move to the next one. Just juicing for a bunch of days isn't going to detox much. It's going to, to clean the colon, for example, you have to have some fiber, some bulk has to be going through the body to kind of clean the colon out. So juicing for a week isn't going to clean the colon. It's going to maybe nourish the body and help the liver, depending on the type of vegetables you're juicing. But if you say made a wild a smoothie mix, like the frozen fruit and kale and some coconut oil and some flax oil and some protein powder and blended it all up, that itself would become toxic, even though it has a lot of nutritional value to it. Because if you're not able to digest something, then it becomes toxic. So poor food combining alone can create toxicity. Mixing fruit with yogurt and eating it together, and you get burping and gas. Well, it's creating a type of toxin. So poor digestion probably is the number one cause of toxicity besides environmental factors. So other causes, of course, are living in a polluted society, living in near a highway, living near a paint factory, an industrial area where the air isn't good. Then you can have respiratory problems. Of course, most of our food is full of pesticides and chemicals unless you're eating organic. And that's the importance of eating organic. It doesn't help you today, but it helps the body because there'll be less toxins the body has to eliminate on a daily basis. And I believe the body's quite capable of eliminating quite a bit of toxins on its own. So people are surprised sometimes. I relax, go to restaurants, eat food that's not organic here and there. And that's because, one, my eliminating channels are working very good. My bowels are moving good. My liver's in good condition. My gallbladder is working good. I'm sweating, eliminating there. Respiratory system's working good. So these eliminating channels are working well. And you can eliminate these toxins every once in a while. It's that daily accumulation of toxins from eating junk food and processed food and canned food and pre-made food that overwhelms the body after a certain time, particularly if these eliminating channels aren't working very well. But if their eliminating channels are working well and you've done a lot of cleansing in the past, then you don't have to be as rigid with your diet, because I believe the body does very well at eliminating good amounts of toxins on a daily basis. So don't think that you have to be paranoid and you can never go out and eat in a restaurant or do something with your kids that isn't organic. For example, a birthday party. If you have the body cleaned and you have the eliminating channels going, then you can still do these other things in life. But if you are having like an autoimmune condition or a serious health condition, then you for sure want to inflammation, pain, intestinal inflammation, like irritable bowel, then you would want to eliminate all foods that are not organic to give the body a break so it doesn't have to worry about eliminating these toxins, which we know the foods are full of. They're sprayed with chemicals, they're grown with chemicals, and the body has to eliminate these. So, but like I said, probably the main cause is still poor digestion. If you're eating when you're not hungry, you're ruining your digestion and creating more toxins. If you're eating late at night and going to sleep, you're creating more toxins and congestion. And it goes both ways. Blockage and congestion can create toxins. Toxins can create congestion. So it can be a quite a vicious circle. Once you're blocked up and still eating poorly, then situations in your health condition can start getting worse at a steady pace when you're not able to eliminate these toxins. So eliminating these toxins isn't necessarily a cure for every condition, but it's often necessary for most conditions to be improving the function of an organ or a system. But again, you have to be able to diagnose your systems in the body or your patient's systems in the body and know, do I need to support the liver and build it up and help it, or do I need to detox it? Do I need to support the GI tract and make the food easy to digest and help digestion and make soft, warm, easy to digest food, or do we just need to clean it right out? So you have to make these choices based on your diagnosis. Don't just wing it and guess and think, oh, I'm going to do a detox. You really don't want a detox if you don't have to, because you'd rather be eating and nourishing yourself. Your body's not living off of detoxification. It's living off of the nourishment that you get from the sun, the air, and the food. So you would rather be nourishing and supplying your body with what it needs on a daily basis and limit your detoxification as much as you can. And now, if you don't have any serious health issues, then someone like myself, even at 56, I try to just do my cleanses in the spring. And this is the best time to detoxify after the winter, the first warm days of the winter. And then maybe some urinary tract cleansing in the middle of the summer and a little cleansing during the summer, but nothing that intense. But if you're obese and congested with multiple health problems, then a more serious detoxification will start to give you relief and allow these systems and organs to recover. Okay, so I hope that helped you in identifying what needs to be detoxed. So let's start with different organs and systems in the body and talk about how we can detoxify them and clean them out and get the system working again. Like I said, when there's toxicity, there's either blockage or inflammation or the two main signs that we see of heavy toxicity. When you have heavy toxicity in the body, there can be so much toxins in your body that they're in their blood and your tissue. Maybe if you took years of pharmaceutical or recreational drugs, then you can have heat within your body because your liver becomes hot dealing with all these toxins. Your skin can become inflamed and you can have things like psoriasis from these toxins. And you could have a low-grade fever from high levels of toxins in your body. So, and then of course, if this person had this high level of toxins and they were also thin and underweight and depleted, then you have a very sensitive situation here and it needs to be handled properly and professionally. So let's start with the colon. We know that we want nice, well-formed, fluffy, floating, and fresh-smelling stools, and not stinky ones, and sinky ones, and sticky ones. And also we want to have 2 or 3 bowel movements a day. If you're eating 2 meals a day, then you should try to have 2 bowel movements a day. If you're eating 3 meals a day, you should try to have 3 bowel movements a day. There's a lot of misunderstandings about what is healthy bowel movements because people really don't know. Most people think their bowel movements are normal because maybe they're just not comparing with other people. But if you study this more carefully, you'll learn that most of us have to have more bowel movements. One bowel movement a day, we could say, is like minor constipation. If you're missing a bowel movement, this is, clearly constipation. If you're going 2 or 3 days without a bowel movement, we have serious constipation. And what happens when this fecal matter, or we call a mala in the Ayurveda, it's a waste matter, is not eliminated in a timely manner, then it reabsorbs back into the system, and we call this autotoxicity. This often results in headaches, another common sign of toxicity, headaches, pain, inflammation, blockage, typical signs of toxicity. And headaches are a very common sign. Many people who came to me, maybe only having one bowel movement a day, thought it was normal for 40 years. When we got the bowels moving, they came back and reported not only is their bowels moving, their belly went down, their gas and bloating disappeared, their appetite increased, and their headaches are gone, all from improving their bowel movements. And even when people have arthritis and joint pain, a lot of this joint pain is the accumulation of toxins in your joints. And that's why in Ayurveda, we don't give painkillers. We remove these toxins from the joint. That's why all Ayurvedic doctors are able to deal with arthritis and very well, because they have herbal formulas like Kaishar Guggulu, Yogaraj Guggulu, that are cleaning out the joints, cleaning the toxins out of the joints. Sometimes people ask me, they said, how come I took your herbs for 3 or 4 months and my arthritis is gone? I thought I'd have to take them forever. And I said, that's because it's not a painkiller, even though there's analgesic qualities to some of these herbs to relieve the pain and the inflammation, but they're actually cleaning out the toxins out of your joints. How do we clear skin conditions? We're cleaning toxins out of the tissue, out of the blood, out of the skin by sweating it out. Why did they get these? A lot of times through blocked sweat glands, not dry skin, not getting the toxins out for years and years and years and letting them accumulate. Somebody was asking about heavy metals. Most of the heavy metals are accumulating and being stored in the fat tissue. Why do some people are not able to lose fat no matter what they do? It's because their toxins are stored there. You can always tell if you have toxins in your fat tissue by just grabbing the tissue. If it's soft and bouncy tissue, and this is usually a lot of extra carbohydrates. But if it's rubbery and hard, then, and hard to lose fat, like you're wearing a wetsuit, then the body has stored toxins in your own fat tissue. And these are very hard to get out. And this is why these people cannot lose weight. You can fast, you can skip meals, you can exercise all you want, and the body won't release these toxins in that manner because they're stored in your fat tissue. So you have to know the correct approach. So let's talk about this colon, how to get that colon going. Of course, in Western herbs, there's many Western herbs, Karsada Sagrada, Senna, Chinese herbs like rhubarb, and Indian herbs we use Triphala. Triphala is made from 3 fruits, Phala means 3 fruits, Bibataki, Amlaki, Haritaki, and it's a very mild laxative. So if you're seriously constipated, Triphala by itself is not going to do it. It's good for long-term use, good for cleaning out the colon, but not strong enough. So if you have more constipation, such as dry, hard stools, then good way to get that moving is castor oil, old folk remedy in Western Europe and in India, and very effective. And we have herbal formulas where they're already mixed together, where we have the herbs mixed with the haritaki plus some Karsada Sagrada, stronger laxatives, and the castor oils all mixed up together. So it makes it a stronger laxative. And we have ones that are just for long-term. This is a simple one here. It says long-term colon care. And all that is Triphala plus ginger. Ginger works like a catalyst that kind of makes the Triphala work a little bit better. And, for a big, heavy person, I do have one here. It says a kapha colon cleanse, and that does have some senna in it to get things going. So, in fact, I have 4 or 5 different types of colon cleansing formulas depending on the person. The dry, hard stools, then we're using castor oil, haritaki, and some Karsada Sagrada, and some licorice. because the licorice helps it with the moisture, not too dry. We wouldn't want to use senna, for example. And most of these laxative herbs don't work very well all by themselves. I would never recommend anybody, unless you're just a really big, overweight person, to take senna. Senna is a very strong herb and definitely shouldn't be taken by itself. So, you mix it with other herbs like triphala, ginger, and then it's going to be more balanced and not create any type of discomfort to the body. So it's important to match the right formula, herb, to your type of condition. In fact, some people have, particularly Pitta type of people who have a warmer body temperature and a strong digestive system, they tend to have even loose stools. So we even have formulas for people with loose stools. This one here, it's for mild intestinal inflammation and loose stools. So unformed loose stools, for having 4 or 5 a day, this also is not healthy. And these herbs will help firm up the bowels and help to keep the colon clean. And when you clean the colon, you have to have a good amount of fiber. So generally we get people off of all meat, not necessarily all dairy. You can still have some butter, but we don't want cheese and cold foods. Cold is congestive. And then we give them all cooked vegetables, cooked like soups and stews and cooked rice and legumes like lentils. Each person is different in Ayurveda, as you know. So not everybody would have the same diet, but we definitely want a high fiber diet because we need the fiber to become a bulking agent. So the fiber creates the bulk from you eating your 3 meals, and then the herbs are like the brush pushing it along, cleansing the colon, stimulating the intestinal villi in the intestinal tract, and improving the absorption of nutrients. So these herbs like haritaki and bibataki and amlaki that make up triphala are actually known to improve the absorption of minerals and vitamins in the body by cleaning out these little intestinal villi, which can become matted, inflamed, and even in cases like leaky gut, not working properly and absorbing undigested food into the system. So number one is always get those bowels moving. Number one, that's really the first thing you do, because before you clean the colon or the liver, you have to have the bowels moving good, because where is the liver putting its toxins? It's putting them into the small intestines through the gallbladder in the form of bile, and they have to go out with the fecal matter of the colon. In fact, that's what makes the bowels kind of brownish, because if you have, say, poor liver function, then you have whitish or tannish stools. So if you see your stools are tan or white, then you can assume that your liver is not working too well, and you could have some gallbladder blockage. So you want to definitely get the liver working. And of course, there's a lot of Western herbs for liver that help. We have, liver tea, which has dandelion root, milk thistle root, burdock root, little ginger in it, a little licorice. And, this can be taken 2 or 3 times a day between meals. And it will generally clear out the gallbladder and get the bowels, the gallbladder moving and break up any congestion. Now, if you have serious gallbladder blockage, then, you probably a tonic here is going to be more effective, this gallbladder tonic. So if you for sure have gallbladder blockage, then you'd want to use the tonic. It's going to be much more effective. And of course, there's many herbs for liver as well. We have different ones for different liver conditions. This one is called liver tonic for kapha. So kapha is fatty. So that means there's fatty liver, fatty, like high cholesterol in the body. And then we have other ones for liver for pitta, when there's inflammation in the liver, where it's swollen and painful and tender, and we want to cool the liver down. So you can't give the wrong liver herbs to a person. If a person is having liver inflammation and pain, and their body temperature is hot, and they're very hot, then you wouldn't want to give them these hot heating herbs in this formula. You want to use a different formula that brings the heat down in the liver. And if you have cirrhosis of the liver, or a deteriorating liver, or like an alcoholic liver where there's dying liver cells taking place, then you want to use a different liver formula that's supportive of regenerating liver cells. But first, you always want to get that gallbladder moving so there's no congestion there. Next, we could go over to the kidneys. If you're peeing at night, getting up 3 or 4 times at night to urinate, or running to the toilet, or getting a lot of urinary tract infections, then you could have a different condition in your urinary tract. I mean, I have whole YouTube videos and webinars on different conditions of the kidney, bladder, urinary system. But most common is you get a little blockage, or stones or accumulate, and then there's blockage and you're not able to have complete flow in the day, and then at nighttime it comes out. And the other common reason is minor bacterial infection in the bladder, creating urgent urination and running to the toilet. So this one is for kidney stones, cleaning out kidney stones. And it works quite well. Teas work really the best for cleaning out the kidneys, because obviously it's a liquid. We want to flush it out. We have to drink the tea quite a bit, not sip it, but guzzle it down. And, using herbs like nettle as a base, horsetail, gravel root, which is the most famous herb for breaking up stones, kind of interesting in the sense that if you look at this gravel root, it looks like gravel, like rocks. And it has this dissolving quality where it breaks down stones and blockage in the kidneys. So, and if you have a urinary tract infection, then the formula would be a little different. We'd use Erva ursi and maybe some hawthorn leaf and some juniper berry, for example, to clean out the urinary system and get rid of any infection. And this would, of course, eliminate this nighttime urination. And it's been very effective. I mean, most everybody coming to me with this nighttime urination, getting up 2-3 times at night, this is resolved by, we could say, diagnosing first the kidney bladder pathway and determining what the issue is, the imbalance, and then treating it with these herbs. Works very well. Even have another one here called kidney bladder detox, and here we're using West Indian herbs, Gokshura, Punarava, and Punarava Gugulu. And Gokshura Gugulu are typical formulas in Ayurveda that are used to cleanse out the kidney bladder pathway. So generally, if the tea doesn't work, then we give the powder. The formulas are more potent than the teas. The teas are just extracts or diffusions made by diffusion or extract. But the powdered, the churnas, they're actually stronger because you can mix them. You're actually ingesting the actual herb itself, so much more effective. Okay, so we got the gallbladder moving, we got the bowels moving, flushed out the kidneys, and what else could we do here? Well, the lymphatic system in itself can be cleansed too. You can get a lymphatic massage, and even just getting a good massage will help to get the lymph going and break up congestion there. We know we have a lot of congestion in the lymphatic system when you have swelling in the body, cellulite in the body, puffiness in the body, in the ankles and the fingers. Then we know there's blockage here. So a good vigorous massage is good. A hot bath and salt is good. We have an oil here. It's called kapha oil, and it's basically for it says invigorating and cleansing, and it's using sesame oil and mustard oil and some heating herbs like pipali and neem and tulsi, rosemary, and even some eucalyptus. So that really gets the circulation going in the lymphatic system and really cleans. It does quite a good job of getting this lymphatic blockage going. So, for example, if you have cellulite on the legs, you can massage this on every day and do some walking. and you probably could clear it right up in a matter of a month. And just like any detoxification process, you're trying to avoid future health problems. So if you have any, you're urinating at night, not having a sufficient bowel movements, or not able to breathe properly or sweat properly, if you're not sweating, you're blocked. So any type of blockage and any of these signs, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better by itself. It's just going to accumulate more and more and more. And then slowly over time, you'll start to have more blockage, and eventually you start to have inflammation and pain. So you want to resolve these conditions in the early stage. And we talk about I'm treating a lot of respiratory conditions, and we're very successful. And that's because in Ayurveda, we understand that this is often a congestion or amid in the respiratory system. So they have herbs that can clean it out. L-champagne is one of the most common Western herbs for cleaning out the respiratory system. In Ayurveda, they use Stipulati Churna, Talasadi Churna, and other traditional formulas for cleaning out the respiratory system. So, once you clean out the respiratory system, my clients are getting off of inhalers, off of allergy medicines. And that's another good point there about allergies. Somebody was just asking me about allergies. I saw it flip by there. And yeah, most allergies are a result of toxicity in the body. Most autoimmune conditions are a response to toxicity in the body. Most pain is a result of toxicity and blockage in the body. Fatigue, a result of toxicity and blockage in the systems in the body, and inflammation. Of course, once the body is inflamed, the muscles are inflamed, then you're also going to feel fatigue. Here we have a blood detox. We're using some of the same herbs as the kidney detox, the liver detox. We've got the dandelion root and the burdock root in there, but no milk thistle. We use a sarsaparilla and a little Oregon grape and licorice, and that is cleaning out the blood. We use this for skin conditions, acne. So even you get a lot of pimples all over your face and oily face, then this type of acne is also a type of toxicity, coming out of the body. So we need to cleanse the skin, cleanse the blood, cleanse the liver to get rid of this acne. Just putting topical cures, treatments on your acne isn't getting to the heart of the matter. So headaches, acne, often a result of high toxicity. So I think we covered quite a few herbs there. Somebody asked about heavy metals in the questions here, and heavy metals, depending on the type of heavy metal, the treatment varies, but we could say that everything that I just covered would probably still be necessary. So and I would always test yourself for heavy metals. You really don't want to start doing cleanses if you don't need to do the cleanse. If you suspect heavy metals, just go online and find the hair sample company that can do heavy metal testing, and you mail them the hair sample and they'll send it back to you. It's often called a minerals test. And then if you have the heavy metals, then you can proceed with detoxing it. But don't start doing it just on the whim that you think that you may have heavy metals or parasites for that matter. A parasite cleanse is a very strong cleanse, and you just don't want to do it if you don't have to. Like I said, you really don't want to have to do any of this cleansing if your bodies systems are working good. But for heavy metals, they're one of the most difficult substances to rid from the body. I don't think the body was designed to have cadmium and uranium and aluminum in it from cooking on Teflon frying pans, for example. So this is very hard to get out of the system and tends to be lodged in the fat tissue. So that's why we have this inflammation in the tissues, this rubbery, hard tissue, and it's very hard to get rid of. So you'd have to still follow almost all the procedures that are already covered: cleaning out the colon, cleaning out the liver, getting the gallbladder moving, getting the sweat going, cleaning out the lungs. Anywhere where you can see blockage, you'd want to take care of all of this first and make sure all the eliminating channels are working well, and you've been doing this for some time, and making sure that you've rid yourself of as much toxins and blockage and congestion as you can in the body. And you probably then have removed a portion of the heavy metals just by doing that. And then you can do specific heavy metal cleanse. We're using a chlorella, cilantro, in general. Chlorella tends to be, I have this Indian chlorella here, this taken on a daily basis for some time is the most effective thing at removing heavy metals. But it has to be done for some period of time, and all the eliminating channels have to be working. And really, to be very good at eliminating heavy metals, you need to have a test so you can see your progress. And also, you should know which metals need to be detoxified. So whether it's mercury or lead, this will help you to know how to detoxify them. So once again, don't detoxify if you don't have to. Don't do some crazy detox that may not be suitable for you. I get people calling me, my own patients, a call from Hawaii or a call from some place, and they say they're wiped out, fatigued, and they're exhausted. And I say, what's happening? What are you doing? And they say, well, I'm doing this juice fast. And I go, but I thought you were only 105 pounds. Why are you doing a juice fast? And they go, well, it's to detox. I go, well, I thought we already did detoxing in spring. What are you doing detoxing for in the winter? They go, I don't know, but I signed up and now I'm wiped out. And I go, what should I do? I said, you should start eating. It's what you need to do. So don't just blindly start detoxing your body with somebody who doesn't do a diagnosis. Somebody needs to diagnose what systems in your body need to be cleansed out and then have an approach to do it. You're fairly limited with food. I mean, you can, do a lot of beet and celery and lemon juice and do it for a few weeks and clean out the liver. And you can have a high fiber diet of high in beans and take a lot of prune juice at night and clean out the colon. So it can be done. You can drink a lot of nettle and parsley tea and flush out the kidneys, but it's harder to do by having the foods over the herbs. The herbs are just basically foods that are more concentrated and are used only for sometimes these particular jobs. So that's, food and herb is pretty much the same thing, except food is tastier and more nourishing. Well, the herb is also a plant or a part of a plant, a bark, a root, a stem, or flower, and it's been used for a certain purpose. And that purpose could be cleaning the colon, cleaning the gallbladder. So it's going to be easier to use herbal treatments than it is food. But if you were using food, you should know what you're doing. You should know what you're cleaning and what the goal is. And you should be only doing it if you need to do it and not doing it if you don't need to do it. So those are my final bit of advice there about detoxing. And of course, if you have a serious health condition and you see you have complex situation, then it's better to have professional help, work with somebody with some experience. And particularly if you feel you have to do detoxification, but you're also weak and depleted and underweight, then you should get professional help because it becomes more tricky to nourish a person and cleanse them simultaneously. And this whole idea of a healing crisis, this is just bad detoxification. It means somebody's doing it too quickly, too radically for that individual. So you don't want these negative symptoms. I mean, they happen to some degree, but basically the person should start to feel better, should have more energy right away, not feel worse. So if you're feeling worse from a detoxification, you're doing too much, too fast, or you're just doing it and it wasn't even necessary in the first place. Oh, somebody just messaged me about colon hydrotherapy. And this is one reason colon hydrotherapy is popular. And I hear some hospitals in the rest of the world are using colon hydrotherapy on a regular basis for a lot of patients because it's very quick in cleaning out the colon. But unfortunately, it's very limited. You're only using water. It'd be better off to use an enema and put salt in it. If you have any serious health conditions, you're better off to put herbs in it because if you have, say, inflammation in the colon, you don't want to just be flushing in water. You're better off to put in some anti-inflammatory herbs to bring that inflammation down. If you have some kind of, serious damage to your colon, then, putting herbs in there to help it heal, and aloe vera and honey and things like this can help. Somebody's asking about, dialysis. Well, dialysis is a kidney failure. And, and what is the main cause of kidney failure is, high protein diet and excess use of pharmaceutical drugs. So it's hard to improve an organ's function like kidney if, for example, you're still taking the cause is continuing. And this is why it's very tricky when you have kidney failure, because the cause is a medication that the person's been on for 20, 30 years. And now the kidneys are failing because all medication is harming the kidneys and liver. All medication, all pharmaceutical drugs, all synthetic vitamins are somewhat, to some degree, damaging to particularly the kidneys and the liver. So anybody who's, once you're on dialysis and the kidneys failed, it's quite challenging, to say the least. But if you're scheduled for dialysis, or then it can be avoided, but you have to be able to treat all the other remaining conditions, such as high blood pressure and diabetes, first, to be able to get the person off of these medications, because these medications are part of the cause of the kidney failing in the first place. So it's very important to realize what is the cause. If you don't get rid of the cause, then you're kind of wasting your time. And so whatever the causes is of your toxicity, could be your bad eating habits, your late night eating, your fast food, your excess dependence on pharmaceutical drugs, your painkillers, recreational drugs, where you're living, the water. So you want to eliminate these causes first, and then start detoxing. Otherwise, you're going to detox and you're still going to be accumulating the toxins again. So I hope that helps you, ladies and gentlemen, improve your health. And don't hesitate to contact me if you want further information about how I can help you to improve your health. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Greetings from beautiful Southern California. I sincerely hope you learned from this video and benefited from all the information. This knowledge is not my knowledge, nor is this information new, but part of the ancient healthcare system called Ayurveda, the science of life. I hope my videos explaining the Ayurvedic approach in a simple and clear manner helped you to overcome your health issues. However, if you have a complex or serious health condition, I highly recommend that you contact me personally so I can meet with you here in my clinic in Ojai, California, or in an online conference call, so I can properly diagnose your condition and provide you with an individualized diet and custom herbal formulas. Then I will follow up and continue to support you until you have recovered. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel below and visit my website for more information, appointment fees, upcoming events, and my schedule, where you can book an appointment directly online. Thank you once again, and I wish you the best of health and happiness.